She's served the Chancellor's office and the community college system by working on a lot of initiatives, including MIS data collection. So those of you in the community colleges know that onerous thing. And a lot of the statewide technology projects. Right now, Bonnie oversees ongoing system-wide efforts for CCC Apply, CCC Confer, e-transcript, California, centralized internet connectivity for all the campuses. So I'm being nice to Bonnie because I want my DS3 upgraded, the secondary circuit upgraded to a gig, and expanding faculty and staff development opportunities in technology areas. Also involved in education planning, common assessment, and online education. These are the newest initiatives, and I think Bonnie's going to tell us about these new large-scale projects that are, internet-based and might be interesting to some of you. I know it's going to be interesting to me. So, Bonnie,
all right,
take over.
Thank you, and congratulations for sticking around. I wasn't sure if this was a compliment, save the best for last, or if it was actually, or if it was just a way to torture you, to make you hang around and listen to me. All right, so real quickly here, let's see. Is my clicker going to work? Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so real quickly, who are the community colleges? We have 2.6 million students, 25% of the nation's community college population, 112 colleges, 71 off-site centers. We offer associate degrees and job training in 175 fields. We train 70% of California's nurses, 80% of the firefighters, law enforcement, and emergency medical technicians. 28% of UC graduates transferred from the community colleges. And 54% of CSU graduates came from the CCCs. We offer, associate degrees or certificates can double a student's income in 3 years. So we do a lot of great things. And the Student Success Initiative is dealing with another side of the community colleges. I don't know if you've heard of Student Success, but we also have some challenges. 53.6% of our degree-seeking students achieve achieve a degree or certificate. So only 53%. If you come in and assess at our community colleges one level below math, the success rate drops to 46.2. If you come in 4 levels below math, it plummets to 25%. 70% of students who enter the community colleges are unprepared for college level work. So this is a big challenge for us, and this was one of the drivers of the Student Success Task Force and Initiative. The focus was, we recognized we were great at access. We can get you in the door, but can we get you out? Can we, help you succeed and be successful? Task Force recommendations were put together, and as a result, SB 1456 was passed. It gave $100 million for student success work. Some of that college money went directly to the colleges. Some was involved with local work and policy decisions and changes, and $14 million was specifically allocated for technology related to education planning as well as a common assessment. So quickly shifting gears a bit from student success, but this is all tied together, is the distance education work. So this is another initiative, and all 3 of these initiatives were just recently launched. And what I mean by recently, they're really in the planning phase. All of this money is Prop 98, and through a competitive bid process, we put out an application, a request for application for our district or college to actually run and manage these projects. So distance education was really an interest of the governor. He wanted us to implement distance education in the community colleges. And why do students take distance education courses? Almost 61% say that it fits into their work schedule. We have a working population for a variety of reasons. 55.6% said that it met their AS or A requirements. 53% said it met their 4-year transfer requirements. Success and retention in DE courses is below traditional courses by approximately 10% with the numbers here. So that is one of the challenges when we think of student success, is making sure to get all of those courses on equal success and retention. So some of the trends in distance education, for example, Imperial Valley and Palo Verde, They saw a decline in local students taking DE courses. But strangely enough, they saw 46.3% to 41.7% increase in DE students. That means we have students coming from LA or San Francisco where courses might be impacted or didn't meet their work schedules, and they're coming to these smaller rural campuses to find courses that help them get through that pipeline faster. And that was one of the drivers that the governor really pushed to us, was help our students move through the pipeline faster. Also, think about the benefit that this offers to these campuses. You have a program that's at risk of being discontinued because you can't garner enough interest from your local population. Well, now you can keep these programs and these courses alive and vital to your local campus and community. West Hills and Kalinga and Lemoore saw a less rapid increase in that, but they still saw an increase in that, the DE courses coming from non-local students. For this program, $16.9 million one-time, $10 million ongoing. Foothill De Anza, in partnership with Butte Glen College, is running this program. So we have common assessment, education planning, direct initiatives coming out of the student success work. Common assessment is being run by Butte Glen and in partnership with San Joaquin Delta and our CalPass program. Education planning is also being run by Butte Glen. One of the things that we have to consider from a technology perspective is we have existing technology already in place in the community colleges. We have the scenic infrastructure, we've got a common application to college, we have electronic transcripts, we have a variety of things that are already in place. So one of the goals of all of this is how do we integrate and leverage existing tools, don't reinvent the wheel, and make all of these play together. And as we said before, our online students need student success too. They need to assess, they need to plan, they need to have access to these tools. So we really see a heavy need for integration, and all of this is going to be in a web-based online environment. So quickly, what is common assessment? Common assessment, easily to say, it's one test for English, one test for math, one test for ESL, which is English as a second language. And that's one of the goals, is to try to get one test for all of our students versus a variety of tests. Because that's one of the problems that we were trying to solve, is to reduce the number and variety of tests to increase portability from college to college. A very typical experience that our students encounter is we have one student that can go to multiple colleges throughout the course of their education career, or within a single semester they might go to multiple colleges. This student could encounter taking an English test twice, 3 times. That's a burden on the student. That's a financial burden on the entire system because you have to pay for those individual tests. It makes putting the data together more difficult. It makes research and improving our placement more difficult. As well as the last line here, which says equity. When you think about some of our colleges, some colleges have more financial resources for a variety of things than other colleges, or there's more importance placed in a variety of ways. For whatever reason, you might have students who don't have the access to, say, a computer-scored writing sample. Our faculty members are very supportive, and they push for student-scored writing samples, computer-scored writing samples as a way to really ascertain if a student has command of the English language. The idea around this is to leverage the purchasing power of the state to provide a full suite of tools to all of our colleges. So the goal of common assessment, one student, even if they have multiple colleges, one test. Put a data warehouse that collects all of this information, pulls in additional data points that we call multiple measures, such as your high school transcripts, such as data that came from other educational institutions, maybe even your Common Core, your EAP work. So all of those things that can help us really improve the placement process. So while it's called common assessment and we really need to get down to one test, our real goal is to improve the overall placement of a student. Okay, education planning. So a very real reality for our students is they come to us and they're not quite sure what they want to do. So they take some courses. Before you know it, they've exceeded the amount of units that they really needed. That's time, that's money, that's also creating bottlenecks at our campuses. We can't accept more students in, we can't get into the classes because we've got people kind of not sure what they want to do. Also, our counseling ratio to student ratio is very disproportionate. How can counselors at this ratio of 1,200 to 1 adequately support a student when they come in and just say they have a blank piece of paper, they don't know what they want to do? So the goal of education planning is to put a lot of these resources online to not replace counselors, but to help the students and guide them and do some of that initial self-exploration work, maybe to even come up just with the concept of what a plan is, so that when they walk into the counselor, at least they've given it some thought. Help them find a program of study that they might be interested in. Then they get to develop an education plan. It maps out their Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for that semester for a couple of years. Doesn't mean they're locked into it, but it gets them on a trajectory of thinking about what they want to do and actually thoughtfully planning the work. Also supporting the idea of degree audits. So students, counselors can know how close to actually achieving a degree they are. Student portal. Help the students come into one location. There's a lot of support for students out there. There's a lot of these tools that they can find a career, they can explore their interests, they can do a lot of things, but they're all in disjointed locations. So can we provide maybe a checklist for students, something that they can follow to help them down this path? We can also message students. We can say, you haven't taken your assessment test. We can say, it's time to register. We can also say, well, looking at the data, you said you wanted to be a dental hygienist. Well, you haven't taken a single course that's going to help you along that path. We can start to really mine this data and do a job that a counselor can't do, which is getting on the phone and saying, hey, let's talk about, what you're doing. We can start this messaging. We can text them. They respond to text really well. So provide this guidance in a live manner. They can come back to this portal. They can experiment. They can look at things and continue to explore their interest. And make this relevant. Don't message a student who just crossed your threshold, who hasn't even got an ed plan, and talk to them about transfer. They're not ready for that yet. So think about, really make this a live and relevant system. All right. I just want to check my time here. What am I doing? Okay. All right. So online education. The need is let the supply meet the demand. Find those courses that are not impacted, take them, and move forward with your career pathway, your college pathway. And success. Let's support the activities and provide the tools that help to increase success in an online environment. Number 3, let's provide professional development. Are faculty members ready? Are they comfortable to teach online? And give them continued support, not just, hey, you took a little certification program or you took one class and we're never going to talk to you again, but keep that activity going. And number 4, address the technology needs of online education. Like I said, integrated technology. How do we make this all work? How do we put in the ed planning? How do we get those courses online? So the goal of online education, we have a student. They can come to our system, they can find a class, they can register for the class, they can access their student services, they can get financial aid, or at least submit the paperwork. So what can we streamline in this environment to facilitate these activities? They can perform social networking. Online environments can be isolating, particularly if you never come onto campus. How do you, teach them how to become social networkers in that space? Academic support. How do you get tutoring? Credit for prior learning. This is one thing we're thinking about. How do we address this credit for prior learning, aka credit by exam? So that's one thing we're talking about. It's in-process planning there. Now for the faculty member, they need to create courses. They need to provide instruction. They need to interact with their students, but also with their peers. Faculty members can become isolated as well. So how do they continue to, or how can they interact with other professionals in that space? And then professional development. We need to be able to provide it. Where is it housed? What's it look like? What are their needs? And how do we keep them engaged in that process? And then how do they assess the learning of their students? Sitting on top of all of that, and this is going to probably be the hardest part, of the policies and the procedures that we need to address to streamline the process. You know, we could potentially have a student who's got a home campus in LA. They're taking some courses up in Shasta. And what about the priority registration? What about all of the things that come into play when we think about policies and procedures related to registering and enrolling in courses? And then all of this is going to be sitting on top of a common course management system, or AKA LMS. So one system, we load the courses, you have access to all of the student services tools and support. All right, this is my final slide real quick. So the objectives, there's obviously a lot more objectives, but when you think about all of these tools and services that are going to be delivered, effective governance structures, we really try to be thoughtful about how to engage the local community. We have 112 campuses, and we want to make sure that we're providing the tools and the services that are going to be relevant and useful to our campuses, our faculty, and our students, and support personnel. Very collaborative model, and develop and fund the tools and services centrally. Again, leverage the economies of scale and provide those services to the colleges. And then share these tools and services across the system. Integrate technology to streamline processes. Those are our high-level objectives with all of these initiatives. So I think I made my time. Any questions? I know that was a whirlwind, but yes.
Resources to promote or communicate these initiatives to our districts and colleges. What I'm seeing is that at least in our district, we're spending tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to roll out our own ed planning module, our LMS, things like that. Even though, despite I'm telling them,
They're coming. A communication plan is definitely one of the things that we are working on at this point. I know colleges, and all of them are going to kind of fall in different places, like the education planning, because of the funding implications, it's coming up quick, and we may not have something in place to provide. But we can still, we'll communicate a plan out to them through our Vice Chancellor of Student Services at the community colleges. And same with the online education. We are starting a series of town halls talking about these efforts, and we will get that communication plan going. It sounds like we need to push that up further. and plus, sometimes we send it out, but it doesn't make it to everyone and the right people. So we'll pick some variety of avenues.
Are you moving only the online courses to this common CMS or LMS, or are you moving all the courses across all campuses that exist to the new common LMS?
Well, that's a big question. So we are making so one of the things around the online education initiative is that it's going to be governed by a consortium. So in order to participate in the online education, you need to say, I agree to all these policies and procedures that we're going to be putting forth, the reps, what I want to say. We're not going to impact your financial aid if all of the rules around priority registration, financial aid, things like that. So we will have, and then we're going to try to put together some governing structures around the courses and the content and that such. There's going to be a consortium level agreement. Now, when you say open it up to all courses, faculty members may or may not use an LMS, but if they want to utilize the common system, the idea is that we would make it available to them, but the consortium level agreements would have to be in place for them. We could potentially branch off. We're not there yet. Right now we're going to focus on what's going to come into the consortium, but it's likely that we could think about it and expand it to a non-consortium course to make that accessible on just a local level for something that just want to be offered locally.
You know what LMS you're using?
Oh, not yet. No, our first step is to work with the field to say, what do you want? Let's dream what an LMS could be. Let's not say this is what they are. Let's say what we want it to be. So, and then we go from there.
You say what academic senate said would have to be better than anything that's out there.
Which may not be hard.
Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. So, yes.
When will we know when we see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be challenging.
Yes. Challenging and fun. Any other questions?
And you're all about carrots, not sticks, right?
That's right. Yes, we're trying to offer carrots. We want to encourage you to come, and we want you to want to come and join these initiatives.
Right. Thank you, Bonnie.
All right, I did it.
On time.
I know, I wasn't sure if I could squeeze all that in. I was